Welcome to this radio video, and this is part 2 of the propagation videos and understanding how it works and how to get the most of shortwave by understanding the different characteristics of shortwave radio propagation. Today we're talking about Greyline DXing. In my first video I talked about what is the most basics, which is the daytime nighttime difference, using a schematic of what the propagation, the ionosphere looks like in daytime and nighttime. Now what you see here is a real-time map of Greyline across the globe. So as I'm making this video, this is updated every 5 minutes, I believe. So Greyline is that little thin line that separates day and night on the Earth. You might have noticed that often later afternoon, evenings, around sunset or around sunrise, in early morning, you might have noticed that propagation seems to be a lot better than at other times of the day. And that is a very, very unique characteristic of what we call Greyline DXing. The gray line, that little thin line of where the sun is setting or rising, depending on where you are, is a very unique place where propagation is at its best of the day. So typically you got two zones where the propagation is at the best of the day. It's when you are at local sunset and also when you are at local sunrise. And it is because there's kind of a mix here. In the first part I told you D layer absorbs low frequencies on the daytime. The shortwave, the ionosphere, actually, gets into one layer. Well, that's kind of the transition zone. The sunset and sunrise means that the layers haven't changed too much yet. They haven't formed the official day or night layers. They're kind of in a process of building or recreating that type of layer. So basically what happens is in the gray line, the D layer is much weaker because the sun is at a very, very low angle, so it doesn't give out a lot of energy. You're getting into the nighttime, and basically when the sun is setting, D layer is very weak, so you get a mix of pretty much all the frequencies can propagate. One of the unique times where 10 meters and 80 meters for amateur radio use, or for example, if you listen to a station on the 21 megahertz international broadcast band, you'll also be able to hear a station on the 49 meter band or 6 megahertz at that time, because you have unique propagation capabilities there. It is a very, very good time for DXing very, very far away stations. So often you'll hear stations from Asia, or if depending on where you are, if you're in Europe or if you're in North America, you'll hear Australia. You'll hear stations very far away with a better signal than most of the time, because Greyline helps the propagation of these signals also. It's also a unique time because you can listen if you know the daytime, nighttime, capabilities that I talked about. I told you that daytime propagation is better on higher frequencies. So basically, if you are at sunset, okay, sunset means that to the west of you, it's still sunny. So all the signals to the west will have the possibility to propagate up to you on higher frequencies. So when the sun is setting, you're in the gray line area and you are able to listen to, say for example here in Montreal, northeast part of North America, as the sun is setting, I'll be able to hear Radio Australia on 17840, a high frequency. Why? Because the path from Australia to Montreal is daylight, the high frequency works. But at the same time, at sunset in Montreal, to the east of me, it's dark. So I'll be able to hear Europe but on low frequencies, like listening to, say, Romania on a low frequency in the 6 megahertz international broadcast band. So you got to understand that process, that if you use the idea that in the darkness you hear the lower frequencies and the darkness is to the east of you, you know that all the stations in the darkness pad there should come in on lower frequencies. And it's interesting to understand that because it helps you understand what you can listen to at different times of the day. In the morning, it's reversed. In the morning, you'll have darkness to the west of you, which means that, say, in the morning when the sun rises in Montreal, I could hear on 6 megahertz Radio Australia because darkness bad from there to here. But I'll be able to hear Voice of Turkey on the 19 meter band, 15450, I believe, or something like that, because it's to the east, and to the east it's daytime, so the higher frequencies propagate. So all of that comes together in the Greyline area, which is an amazing little spot, an amazing time to listen to. And actually, if I have the chance to do one little session of radio listening, I'll often do it close to my sunset or close to my sunrise time, because I know I can hear some exceptional DX. That's very important. And for the middle part of it, when you're in midday, for example, noon, well, listening to shortwave around noon, around 11 a.m., 12 noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. is probably the worst period of time for shortwave. You're kind of smack in the middle of your daylight zone, so only high frequencies can propagate almost, and basically you're in a path where there's not a lot of stuff. Signals tend to be a little weaker also, especially in the summertime when the ionization of the ionosphere is at its maximum. So that's more of a time to avoid listening. It doesn't mean there's nothing to listen to, but it means it's a little harder to DX or to hear interesting stuff if it's local noon, for example. And the same goes for nighttime. If you're midnight, 1 a.m., really deep in the night, you'll notice that propagation isn't that fantastic either, especially in the winter time when the nights are very long. You'll notice that signals are rather weak when you're very late in the evening. So these are times to maybe avoid a little bit, but you know what? Never avoid any time period and any frequency, because anything can happen. And as you'll see in this series, there are some unusual things that can happen that suddenly makes signals appear where there shouldn't be any, depending on the time of the day. So listen to your shortwave radios around Greyline. If you have time today, if you have local sunset, why not take a listen and see what you can hear in your part of the world at that period, because you'll be in the Greyline area. And more videos coming up, many videos, because as I'm doing this series, I'm actually having ideas of even more propagation things to explain about shortwave. But if you watch this series regularly, if you don't understand it right away, listen to it several times and you'll learn a lot about this. So Greyline propagation, probably the best time to listen to signals. Amateur radio stations also know that in Greyline, it's one of the best times where even low power stations can actually DX the world. And one last thing about the Greyline DXing zone. If it's a zone that is, for example, the station you want to listen to is in the Greyline area also, you'll see that that's going to be amazing propagation between those two areas if you choose the right frequencies. So Greyline DXing, that's why the signals close to sunset and sunrise tend to be probably some of the best times of the day for DXing and listening to faraway stations. If you enjoy my series, why not subscribe to my channel? You'll be informed when new videos are online. Give us thumbs up if you like the videos, helps us on YouTube. And hope you enjoy the series. don't hesitate to ask your questions if you have any questions about it. And look at all the videos, many videos coming up. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this radio propagation series.